Hey everyone, the ROG Zephyrus G14, probably one of the most hyped up laptops of the last few years, right? And for good reason. But if you're rocking an older G14, you might be eyeing the new one with a little bit of envy. So should you pull the trigger and upgrade? Well, that's what we're diving into today. We're gonna break down the new G14 piece by piece, comparing it to its predecessor to see what's new, what's better, and most importantly, if it's worth the upgrade for you. We'll be looking at everything: performance, display, battery life, the whole 9 yards. Stay tuned. Alright, let's kick things off with the heart of these machines, the performance. We all know the G14 is a little beast, but how much of a leap have we actually made here? The older G14 models packed some serious power with their Ryzen 4000 series chips and RTX 20 series graphics. They were no slouches, handling pretty much any game you threw at them, especially at 1080p. But now, we've got the new generation stepping onto the field with Ryzen 6000 series processors and RTX 30 series graphics. On paper, it's a pretty substantial jump. And you know what they say, bigger numbers, bigger performance, right? Well, that's generally true. In benchmarks, the new G14 shows some impressive gains. We're talking about significant improvements in CPU-heavy tasks like video editing or 3D rendering. And when it comes to gaming, those RTX 30 series GPUs really start to flex their muscles, pushing higher frame rates, especially at higher resolutions. But hold on a second, before you go hitting that buy now button, let's talk real-world usage. If you're primarily gaming at 1080p, you might not see a night and day difference. Sure, the newer games will run smoother, and you might squeeze out a few extra frames per second, but is it a game changer? Maybe not. However, if you're pushing higher resolutions like 1440p or even 4K with an external monitor, then yeah, the upgrade becomes a lot more enticing. The RTX 30 series cards are built to handle that kind of workload, and you'll definitely feel the difference. The same goes for content creation. If you're editing 4K video, working on complex 3D models, or doing anything that really taxes the CPU and GPU, the new G14 will undoubtedly speed up your workflow. So, the bottom line is this: if you're a casual gamer or a user who's not pushing the limits of their current G14, the performance gains might not be mind-blowing. But for power users, gamers craving those higher resolutions, and content creators, the new G14 offers a significant step up in performance that's hard to ignore. Okay, so we've talked about raw power, but let's move on to something that's arguably just as important, especially on a laptop like this: the display. The display has always been a strong point for the Zephyrus G14. The older models already offered sharp, vibrant panels with decent color accuracy, but ASUS has stepped it up a notch with the new G14. One of the biggest upgrades is the introduction of a 16:10 aspect ratio display on some configurations. This taller screen gives you a bit more vertical real estate, which is a godsend for productivity, browsing the web or editing documents. And for the gamers out there, ASUS is offering a display with a blazing fast 240Hz refresh rate. This thing is buttery smooth, making fast-paced games look incredibly fluid. Trust me, once you go 240Hz, it's hard to go back. But the improvements don't stop there. ASUS has also bumped up the peak brightness on the new G14, making it more usable outdoors or in brighter environments. And let's not forget about color accuracy. The new displays boast impressive color reproduction, covering a wide color gamut, which is crucial for content creators and anyone who appreciates accurate colors. Now let's address the elephant in the room: the notch. Yes, some versions of the new G14 come with a webcam notch at the top of the screen. It's a design choice that has sparked some debate, with some people loving it and others hating it. Personally, I think it's a fair trade-off. The notch allows for slimmer bezels and a more immersive viewing experience, and it houses a decent webcam, which is something many laptops seem to struggle with. So, is the display upgrade worth it? If you value things like a taller aspect ratio, a super fast refresh rate, and improved brightness and color accuracy, then absolutely. The new G14's display is a noticeable step up from the previous generation. But if you're perfectly happy with the display on your older G14, it might not be the biggest selling point for an upgrade. Alright, let's talk battery life, because that's always a hot topic when it comes to powerful laptops. The older G14 models were actually pretty impressive in this department, often exceeding expectations for a gaming laptop. But here's the thing: With great power comes, well, you know the rest. The new G14 packs even more powerful components, and that inevitably puts more strain on the battery. Now ASUS has made some optimizations and included a slightly larger battery in the new model. However, in real-world usage, the battery life is pretty comparable to the older generation. You can expect to get around 7 to 8 hours of light usage, like web browsing or document editing. But if you're planning on gaming or doing any other demanding tasks, that number will drop significantly. You're looking at maybe 2 to 3 hours of battery life, tops. So, if you're constantly on the go and need a laptop that can last all day without needing a charger, the G14 might not be the best choice, regardless of whether you go for the old or new model. However, it's worth noting that the G14's compact size and USB-C charging capabilities make it relatively portable. You can easily slip it into a backpack and charge it with a portable power bank if needed. So, while the battery life might not be its strongest suit, it's not a deal breaker either, especially if you're mainly using it plugged in. Alright, last but not least, let's talk about the design. Now, the Zephyrus G14 has always been a head-turner, known for its sleek and compact design. And ASUS hasn't messed with that formula too much for the new model. At first glance, they look remarkably similar. You've got the same magnesium aluminum lid, the same clean aesthetics, and the same overall portable footprint. But if you look a little closer, you'll notice some subtle refinements. One of the most noticeable changes is the hinge design. The new G14 features ASUS's ErgoLift hinge, which slightly tilts the keyboard deck when you open the laptop. This not only makes typing more comfortable but also improves airflow for better cooling. Speaking of cooling, ASUS has also made some improvements to the thermal design of the new G14. They've incorporated a vapor chamber cooling system and redesigned the fan blades to dissipate heat more efficiently. This allows the powerful components to run cooler and prevents thermal throttling, ensuring optimal performance. Another welcome change is the addition of a microSD card reader. This might seem like a small detail, but it's a godsend for photographers and videographers who need a quick and easy way to transfer files. And finally, let's talk about the Anime Matrix LED display, which is still a signature feature of the G14. This customizable LED array on the lid allows you to display custom graphics, animations, or even system information. ASUS has refined the Anime Matrix on the new G14, adding more LEDs for higher resolution and brighter visuals. So while the overall design language of the G14 remains largely unchanged, ASUS has made some thoughtful refinements that enhance the user experience. From the improved hinge and cooling system, to the addition of a microSD card reader, and the upgraded Anime Matrix, the new G14 feels more polished and refined than its predecessor. So there you have it, the ASUS ROG Zephyrus G14, old versus new. Like I said, the new G14 brings some serious firepower and nice-to-have upgrades. The performance gains are undeniable, especially for those of you pushing the limits with gaming or content creation. The improved display, especially the higher refresh rate options, is a gamer's dream. But, and this is a big but, if your current G14 is still serving you well, you might not need to rush to upgrade just yet. The performance difference might not be life-changing for everyone, and the battery life, while decent, isn't drastically different. Ultimately, the decision comes down to your individual needs and budget. If you demand the absolute best performance and don't mind spending the extra cash, the new G14 is a worthy upgrade. But if you're happy with your current setup, you can definitely hold on to it for a while longer.